Yo, what is good, everybody? It is your boy, Golden Falls, Golden What If, whatever you want to call me, and I am back with the finale of What If Isagi had a talent enhancement weapon. As always, if you enjoy, show some love, leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff, and I'm not going to waste that much more of your time, because I want to get right into the finale. Let's get it. Isagi and Shido versus Bachira and Kunigami. Isagi, to this point, has made every single person he's ever played with better. But this is the proof. This is the culmination and the proof that if they don't have Isagi on the same side as them, are they really that good? Now, off the bat, Isagi and Shido would get the ball, and a chemical reaction would ensue. Just like every single other person he's ever played with, chemical reactions would spark instantaneously. But Shido's style of playing, his unorthodox way of scoring goals, his physicality, and just frankly, his way of playing football may be so much different than everyone else's, but it leads to Isagi setting him up for the easiest goals he's ever seen in his life. A small smile would even grow over his face. Maybe the egotistical side of Isagi finally coming to a forefront. I mean, he's been around Shido for a little bit now, so it wouldn't surprise anyone one bit. Of course, Shido would tell him that as long as he continues to get him the ball, they'll win this with ease. Isagi says to keep his head under wraps, that he loves the brashness of the way he plays and his aggressive way of dribbling and physicality, but if he keeps his head steady, he'll get every goal no matter what. He'll set him up for every single one, and it will be easy. He'll make the field look like he's playing against children. And of course, Kunigami and Bachira would say that that's just not the case, and there's no way they're gonna roll over and lose. And Bachira would show off immediately what he's capable of and how much better Isagi has made him in terms of his dribbling. Bachira alone is so much better than before, and frankly, his way of playing, well, his whole solo way of playing, is the reason for this. There is no fear with him. There is no fear at all. Bachira doesn't need necessarily Isagi to help him and help him get his goals and help him play better. Isagi helped him evolve to the point that, well, he loves his solo style of playing and loves playing on his own. Isagi tries to guard Bachira, but the skill gap in his dribbling would definitely see a bit of struggle. Even Shido would realize this, and for some reason, even Shido would get this rush feeling and this idea around him. It's as if everything is telling him where to go. Everything. But out of nowhere, he would look at Isagi. It's as if he's glowing, bright, as if he's shining among everything. Shido's weirded out by this, wondering what's going on, but then he realizes it's his spatial awareness. It's him understanding the field, but at the same time, this is all defensively. It's him. Isagi wasn't kidding when he said he could make him that much better. He wasn't kidding when he said that he could make Shido into an absolute monster. Isagi would push Bachira in a certain direction. His dribbling able to keep up with Isagi's defense very easily, and right before he's about to break past Isagi, the demon would come out, stealing the ball, and he would smile, saying that Isagi's really amazing. It's as if he's cutting off the entirety of the field, and everything is his darkness. And Shido would go dashing through, easily scoring once again, getting by Kunigami. And he would look at Kunigami, saying that there is no place on a football field for a hero. That this football field is going to be the reign of the demon. And this would completely send chills down Isagi's spine. Isagi knew that this guy was really into his brashness and his aggressiveness, but this is on a whole new level. It seems like their chemical reaction isn't just some regular chemical reaction, it's a nuclear bomb. And it's setting off at an insane fire rate. It's as if every single time Isagi manipulates the field, well, let's just say, the one and only Shido, he's on it immediately. His style, or Isagi's style and Shido's style combined, works perfectly. And the reason for this is because Isagi can adapt to every single style you can think of. And a chemical reaction that is perfect, a 100% chemical reaction, turns into a nuclear bomb on the field. And Isagi makes things look simple, look easy. And he absolutely is able to dismantle the defense of Bachira and Kunigami. Bachira would see his openings, and he would even evolve even further, and using Kunigami to try and score goals as well from distance. But Kunigami's distance is nowhere near what it used to be with Isagi playing with him. And frankly, this game was over before they even stepped on this field. Isagi would give up maybe 1 or 2 goals, but it would lead to a 5-2 win in favor of Isagi and Shido. Now, this was simple. Isagi would stand there and he would want to pick one of the other, but he didn't know who. Bachira or Kunigami, I mean, he doesn't know. He's not sure. Shido would walk up to him and tell him there's no reason to worry about who they're going to pick. If he can't choose, he'll choose. He points at and he says he likes the crazy guy's eyes, so he's going to come with him, picking Bachira, leaving Kunigami there to rot, leaving him there to be sent off into the null and endless void of the strikers that have failed Blue Lock. Shido says that it's simple, that Bachira is way better for their chemical reaction, and he can tell that, well, he'll be just fun to play with, so that's what he wants. He wants more goals, and he can tell Bachira can pass one hell of a ball too. Bachira says that it's a great choice. He kind of feels bad for Kunigami, but it was a great choice. He would tell Shido that this guy right here, well, he'll create something out of Shido, even greater than what he can possibly imagine. In which Shido would say that he'll create it himself, and he's just getting, help from his sidekick. But Bachira says that everyone thinks that Isagi's the sidekick, but he's the main character. He's the architect, the catalyst, the absolute manipulator of every single person's talent on the field. Isagi would just smile, not really saying much, but Shido would watch as Isagi walks away, going toward the next room and getting ready for the next game. That's all he can think about at this moment. But Bachira would tell him that if Shido wants to be a demon lord, a demon god, shit, the devil himself, follow him. Follow Isagi, because he'll get him there, and he'll rule this field like it's hell itself. And immediately, Shido is completely taken back by this. He's never even thought about Isagi in this way. Isagi must be a monster himself. But he seems so calming, relaxed. He doesn't show an inch of an ego, but he does show glimpses. Maybe the smirk on his face. No, that's just of enjoyment, right? He doesn't know. Even confusing himself, but then he shakes it off, thinking that all that matters anyways is his goal. So that's it. That's all he cares about. He just wants to score. That's all he wants to do is score. So it continues on. Isagi, Shido, and Bachira look for their next match, and their next match would come relatively soon. It would be Reo, Baro, and Nagi. Yeah, a match for the ages. A match that on paper would be amazing. Reo, an amazing passer and seemingly able to fit so many different styles. Someone that stats are all above 90, all even, but can never go over a threshold. Baro, an absolute freak on the field, a monster. Someone that's physical capabilities are absolutely insane. And Nagi, the prodigy. unstoppable, unbeatable, and absolute destruction will come. But the only thing that sucks is one Baro. Baro is a massive issue. And that issue, well, it mainly stems from the fact that he doesn't listen. And Baro could be a freak of nature if he just listened. And Isagi knows this as well, very, very clearly. But at the end of the day, can't really think much about it. There's nothing for him to worry about because Isagi, Shido, and Bachira's chemical reaction would absolutely obliterate anything that their defense could even come up with. Reo and Nagi would have a special time. Of course, they would do well. But Reo would soon realize that Nagi can't drag them to the finish line like he used to. Soon, the plays would slow down. Shido would find his goal so easily. It's as if Isagi, off the rip, is just passing a ball that is impossible to touch only in favor of his demon lord. Kicking the ball through the net, Bachira would even get his own, seeing how 1 versus 1 cages would be set up for him. And he thinks to himself that he did love playing on his own, his way of football, but now it's so nice to see the cage that surrounds him, and the cage that surrounds his opponents, and the cage that they can't escape from. He knows that he's so much better with Isagi on the field, so much better. But at the end of the day, well, Isagi is something a little different. He barely even gets his own goals. Very, very seldom. He likes trying to go for him sometimes if he sees the openings. And on a loose ball, he would get one, leading up to the game ending in a 5-1. But at the end of the day, Reo was just dragging Nagi behind, or more or less holding him back. And Nagi, well, he couldn't carry the load of Reo and Baro at the same time. Baro not wanting to listen, getting locked up by Shido, and easily getting the ball stolen would lead to outlet passes and scoring, vast amounts of scoring. But of course, he wouldn't care. That's his game. He's the main character. Or at least that's what he thinks. Still though, the game would be over, and it would all come to an end. Now the choice is Reo, Baro, or Nagi. It seems like a simple one. A very simple one. Shido would sit there and says that he already picked the last one, so he doesn't really care. And Bachira says that there isn't really a clear choice, but then he laughs and says there really is. But he wants to hear what Isagi has to say first, because he's always got something creative brewing in his head, right? Isagi would nod and say that he does have something in mind. He looks toward Nagi, and he tells him that Nagi's a prodigy, adaptive. He learns so fast. Unfortunately, Reo holds him back so much because Reo doesn't understand what he needs to do to get better. Isagi looks at all three of them and says that Reo and Nagi will be just fine on their own. He wants to try out the big guy. And honestly, Shido and Bachira are confused by this. He did just see what occurred, right? And Isagi would tell Baro that he should play nice. He really should. Because, frankly, if he doesn't, well, then he just won't get the ball. Ever. And this is the first time Shido and Bachira would see him so serious, dead, stone cold. This is insane. But he would tell him, once again, telling Baro that if he wants the ball, he'll play nice. He's not going to put a leash on him, but he's going to make him into the absolute monster he thinks he is. He wants to be the main character? Sure, he can be that. He wants to be the king? Sure, but kings are kind of boring. Well, a little bit. Isagi says to Baro that they choose him, but he wants to see the villain side of him. the side of him that no one else has seen just yet. But he doesn't want to see a king. Kings are weak, unable to defend themselves, unable to truly rule over the field. He wants to see a villain emperor, so he better see that, or the emperor just won't get the ball. Isagi would walk away, and Shido would laugh and would smile, and he would say he likes him even more. I mean, yeah, he gets him a ton of goals, but now that's more fun of an attitude. Shido would walk right behind Isagi. They would all head back inside, and frankly, everything from here on out would just be a formality. Their next match, they wouldn't get the challenge they really wanted. They would actually go against some people that were pretty unknown to Isagi. Isagi didn't even have to deal with really any of them before, and these people he knows very little about. But that's okay. He does deal with some people that maybe he'll have to jump through a couple hurdles to defeat, but nothing that his team couldn't absolutely dominate in. The team of Isagi, Shido, Bachira, and Baro would ensue domination. But this was more like a playground. This was more like a taming of the one and only Baro. Frankly, Isagi wanted to make sure that everything was done solid and correctly, and that he wanted to make sure that he got the most out of Baro, that he made him so talented to the point that it wouldn't matter in the very end. They would defeat the last bit of people, and they would get their 5th member. But in all reality, their 5th member didn't matter much in the grand scheme of things. Their 5th member wouldn't be anybody that important. Frankly, nobody that would help them in the near future, and losing to the World 5 would happen exactly the way it would normally. But this time around, Isagi's team would show some insane amount of scoring ability. They would lack massively in defense, but the unorthodox version of football that all three Shido, Bachira, and Baro show is so insane to the point that they each get goals. Baro scoring out of just pure walking through the shadows and coming out at the perfect time. Bachira scoring off of his one-on-one abilities and his dribbling being almost unstoppable. And Shido scoring because Shido can practically score as long as he's just somewhere in front of the goal. And he was able to do this with the amazing and beautiful passing that Isagi would give him. But the loss to the World 5 would eventually happen, losing 5-3, and it may sound like a close game, but really there was no real challenge for the World 5. Because at the end of the day, they are the best in the world for a reason, and there's a reason why they were the final test. It was to humble people. And Isagi's team would all head out, and their second selection is over. They have to wait just a little bit before they can truly see what happens next, and they would see a couple other people as well already completely done and over with. But still, they would await the ending of the second selection, at least in its entirety, but Isagi would actually get pulled away by someone that had a mask on and someone that looks like they would just work for Blue Lock. He would get pulled away and brought into a separate room. This room completely empty, just with a screen on it, and a person would appear. Jinpachi Ego. Jinpachi Ego would begin speaking with Isagi, speaking about the talents he showed and how he's not necessarily fit to become a striker. And Isagi would agree in all of this, saying that that's just the case. He is no striker. And Ego would say that that is true to an extent, but there is no denying that he was a striker at one point. But it seems as if Isagi is more of a midfielder, and it's perfect that way, because Isagi has already created some of the most lethal strikers he's ever seen. and he'll continue to create those. But he wants Isagi to focus on that, creating these strikers, in which Isagi smirks and says that that's already been his goal. What's the fun in playing football if you're not going to play with people that are extremely talented, maybe even more talented than him? In which Ego would smile about this, saying that he likes the way the kid thinks. It's as if he has a master plan of his own. But Isagi would say that's not necessarily the case. This is just his style of football. He loves this style of football. It may not be the egoist football that Ego believes in so much, but it's his football. And Jinpachi Ego would nod his head, saying that there are always many ways of approaching being a football player. And if this is the way he wants it to be, and it's executed properly, then there's no argument from him. No argument, not one bit. The screen would then turn off and Ego would be gone. And Isagi would join his team, and eventually the rest of the people coming in from the ending of the second selection. Ego spoke about Isagi as if he was going to be something extremely important very, very soon. And frankly, this must be the importance that he was thinking of. The U20 match. Isagi may not be the typical striker, but he fits right into the spot of a midfielder. More of a attack midfielder, but a midfielder at that. Someone that will evolve every single player in Blue Lock. And Isagi and his goal is just that. Because Isagi Yoichi, or Yoichi Isagi, the architect of Blue Lock, will burn down the U20 team to the ground. And he'll make sure to do that by making every last one of the strikers here into absolute monsters. Well, that's a story for another day and another time. And if you enjoyed What If Isagi Had a Talent Enhancement Weapon, then make sure to show some love. Leave a like, leave a sub, and leave a comment down below. All that good stuff. And I hope all of y'all have an amazing day. Later.